I've lived in Georgetown for well over 3 decades, a little more than just visiting for a weekend on the square. I've lived here through the "this town is still quiet and calm" phase, to the "wait, when did this get busy" phase, and then the phase nobody really warns you about, when Georgetown stops feeling like a small town and starts feeling like a fast-growing city. After 3 decades, well over 3 decades, here's my honest take. Georgetown is still one of the most charming, calm, community-driven places to build a life in Central Texas. But it only feels that way if your lifestyle actually matches what Georgetown is. When you look at what Georgetown feels like after the novelty wears off, a clear pattern shows up. And that's why in this video, I'm breaking down what daily life here really feels like, the pace, the routines, and why it feels totally different from living in Austin. I'm also going to discuss what most people don't see, the trade-offs, until, well, they really experience the reality, even to the point of how summer heat can change your schedule. I'm going to talk about who Georgetown is perfect for, plus how to choose the right pocket so you don't end up loving the idea of Georgetown, but not really liking your day-to-day life. I'm Stuart Sutton, been here for over 3 decades. I help people buy and sell in Georgetown, Texas, and I'm not here to sell you a highlight reel. I'm here to give you the honest version of what's great, what's frustrating, and what you need to know before you commit to a neighborhood and a lifestyle. So before we talk about the stuff that catches newcomers off guard, let's start with what makes people fall in love with Georgetown in the first place. Because let's face it, if it fits you, Georgetown, Texas is hard to beat. What I really love about living in Georgetown, Texas is the lifestyle, the community, and well, the everyday rhythm. The pace is calmer and you feel it in everyday life in Georgetown. It feels like you can actually exhale. Your day doesn't automatically start in rush mode. It's the kind of place where errands don't turn into a 2-hour event. Your week feels more manageable. And even though it's grown fast, that calmer rhythm still exists, especially if you pick the right pocket for how you live. And after a while, you realize how valuable it is to live somewhere that doesn't constantly feel loud or urgent, especially if you've experienced that before. Secondly, the community vibe is real. It's not just a marketing line. Georgetown actually does community really well. Downtown events, seasonal stuff, local traditions. People actually show up and enjoy it. One example is the Red Poppy Festival. It's a major local signature event. Pulls people into downtown and makes the city feel connected, not fragmented. That kind of town comes together energy is a big reason people stay here once they move to Georgetown, Texas. And what's cool is you start recognizing faces. And that sounds small, but it changes how hometown feels. And thirdly, downtown Georgetown isn't just cute, it becomes part of your lifestyle. The square is a real anchor. It's not a place you visit once where you end up going for a walk, but it's a place where you end up going for dinner, walks, coffee, events, and weekend resets. The city itself loans into this identity through the Main Street program and the most beautiful town square in Texas, branding, which everyone seems to know about. Georgetown has added continual downtown gathering spaces beyond the square, like Light and Water Works District Plaza, which is designed specifically for events and community use. You know, a lot of places have a downtown, but Georgetown has a downtown that actually pulls you in and a lot of your neighbors. You also get the outdoor and trail lifestyle without driving forever. If you like walking, biking, nature, Georgetown makes that easy. It has expanding trail system along the San Gabriel River, including sections designated as national recreational trails. Managed by the Army Corps of Engineers with access, parks, a well-known perimeter hiking trail that's about 26 miles long. I mean, really, this is one of the best parts of Georgetown. You get outside and reset without turning it into a whole expedition. Because outside is accessible pretty much no matter where you live in Georgetown. And even with the growth, Georgetown still feels like a long-term place. Georgetown's not a tiny town anymore. As a matter of fact, the Census Bureau estimates it at 101,000, up 50% from 2020. And yes, that's some growth, but Georgetown has managed it well. The population does skew older than a lot of cities. 28% of residents are 65 plus, but the 55 plus communities are a big reason for that. And those communities are steady and community oriented. That settle in and stay put energy is real here. You see it in the neighborhoods, the routines, the way people actually build community here. You know, a lot of people move here thinking it's a stop on the way to somewhere else, and then they blink and it's been home for a while. But the same things that make Georgetown feel calm and livable also can create big surprises, because rapid growth changes traffic pattern, costs, even what close to Austin really means in day-to-day life. So let's talk about what catches newcomers off guard. There are definitely some hidden challenges that locals adapt to. You see, growth changes the feel of daily life. It's not subtle anymore. Georgetown isn't a small town on the edge of Austin any longer. It's a fast-growing town. As a matter of fact, the census showed it at 101,000 in 2024. That's up considerably from the 67,000 in 2020. And that shift means adapt. When the city grows that fast, you feel it in the rhythm. Busier weekends, and timing and adaptation matter more. Certain traffic corridors feel totally different depending on the hour that you travel. So locals tend to plan errands around time windows. I know I do. We choose neighborhoods based on daily lanes, not just this looks good on the map or this looks good in the pictures. We learn the local patterns that aren't obvious necessarily to newcomers. You see, the surprise isn't that Georgetown is growing, it's how much growth changes your daily routine and how you can adapt to it. And what about commuting? Well, close to Austin isn't the same as easy. Georgetown can absolutely work for Austin jobs, but the truth is your lane and your schedule matter more than your zip code. The average travel time to work in Austin is 27.5 minutes. And that's an average that, well, kind of hides the big swings depending on where you work and when you drive. We just adapt by test driving the commute at the exact times that we're supposed to drive it, not a Saturday afternoon. And when you do that, your schedule can make Georgetown feel like a cheat code because you can pick pockets where must-do drives are simple. You see, if Georgetown fits your commute lane, it really feels effortless. If it doesn't, it can be a challenge every single week. And let's talk about summer heat. It's not just about the weather, it actually rewrites your schedule. Central Texas summer heat can change how you live. Outdoor time becomes early morning and evening, and midday becomes inside time. See, the published averages for Georgetown in July is about 97 degrees on the average, 75 degrees on the low side. And doing stuff outside at 2 p.m., that's a big no. Locals just shift their outdoor life to mornings and sunsets. Locals stop fighting the summer and build a summer routine. If you move here from a mild climate, this is one of the biggest adjustments you'll have to make because it's not just a one-week heat wave, it's a season. And here's another one. Monthly ownership costs can vary by quite a bit. A huge newcomer surprise is that two homes with similar prices can have very different monthly payments once you factor in taxes and neighborhood fees. You see, in Texas, property taxes come from multiple taxing units: county, school, city, and even special districts. In 2025, the city of Georgetown was at 0.3647 per $100 evaluation, and the county was at 0.4137 per 100 evaluation, and the school district 1.05. So here's what locals do. They evaluate the total monthly cost, mortgage, taxes, insurance, before falling in love with a particular home and neighborhood. They compare neighborhoods by ownership cost, not just the vibe. And they ask very early, what are the taxing entities here? What is the cost? See, Georgetown can still be an amazing buy if you don't have the payment surprise after you move in. And here's another surprise. Georgetown isn't one lifestyle. It's multiple lifestyles, all stitched together. This is really the most underrated gotcha that different pockets of Georgetown feel like different towns. One area can feel quiet and spread out, and another can feel master planned and busy, and another can feel downtown and quaint. See, the biggest regret I see isn't I hate Georgetown, it's I love Georgetown. I just don't like the area I live in. So what locals do is they map out their real life, and they pick a pocket that matches their Monday through Friday lifestyle, not just the weekend. See, most people don't seem to regret their house, they regret the pocket they're in. So who thrives in Georgetown and who tends to struggle here? Well, people who want calm, routine, and a home-based lifestyle tend to do very well. If your ideal life is quieter weekdays, simple errands, and a community feel, Georgetown really tends to click with that. Now, you can still tap into the Austin energy when you want to, but you're not living that day-to-day pace when you're in Georgetown. And truly, people who thrive here usually say the same thing. Life just feels more manageable. Also, families who want space, structure, and long-term stability thrive in Georgetown. It's built for routine and a lifestyle that's, well, more settled in than trying to keep up. If you're raising kids or planning to, the day-to-day tends to feel more predictable than, say, a dense metro area. This is the kind of place where, well, a normal week can actually feel normal. Retirees and lifestyle buyers who want community and consistency, well, Georgetown offers that. It has a noticeably older population profile. Over 28% of residents are 65 years of age or older. And that supports why the town feels more community-oriented and schedule driven. Yes, it really is known for active adult living, like the massive and very popular Sun City, as well as many other 55 plus very lovely communities. So if you want social clubs, activities, a built-in community culture, Georgetown's pretty well wired for that. And hybrid remote workers tend to do well here as well, because if you can avoid the daily peak commuting, Georgetown becomes a lifestyle upgrade real fast. And to share the baseline, Georgetown's mean travel time is 27.6 minutes to work, which is exactly why lane choice and schedule matter so much in Georgetown. When you're not driving at the worst time, Georgetown feels pretty effortless. So let's move on to who might struggle here. People who need big city stimulation on a daily basis. Well, Georgetown can seem fun, but the default pace is a little calmer than that. If you want dense nightlife, constant novelty, and always something going on, Georgetown can feel a little bit slow to you. In reality, if your battery charges from chaos and crowd energy, you might feel a little understimulated in Georgetown. And also, people who struggle are those who underestimate the summer heat. It's not just hot, it really does change the routine that you would have for months on end. So your outdoor life during the summer becomes a strategy. If for you sunshine equals happiness, you'll need a real summer routine in order to thrive here. And let's face it, people who don't want growth and the inconveniences that go with them don't do real well here, because we're now over 100,000 people. And rapid growth, well, it inevitably comes with shifting patterns. This route used to be easy kind of moments. So if changing traffic patterns and development stress you out quickly, you're going to feel that friction in Georgetown unless you know very well how to manage it. And people tend to struggle who pick the wrong pocket for how they actually live, because Georgetown isn't one lifestyle. It's multiple lifestyles stitched together. If your home doesn't match your daily lanes, even a great house can start to feel like a struggle. Most of the regrets I hear aren't, I hate Georgetown, I just wish I'd have chosen a different place to live. In Georgetown. And if you'd like to have that conversation, no worries, give me a call, text, email. Be happy to answer questions and have that very detailed conversation with you. Hopefully that would be helpful to you before you ever come to Georgetown. If you're not quite ready for that, our buyer guide is very helpful. Virtually everyone who downloads it tells us how great it is. I think you would feel the same way. So the buyer guide is a free download right below. I know it'll be as helpful to you as it is to everyone else. So now we're going to talk about how Georgetown is changing and what that means for locals and newcomers. I said before, Georgetown isn't a small town anymore. It's a 100,000 plus city population, which is quite a jump from 2020. And that scale up means everything changes. When a city reaches this size, you start feeling, well, city type of problems. Timing, congestion, longer lines, even if the vibe still looks like a small town. So what it means is that your experience is going to be more and more pocket dependent. Where you live matters more than the label of Georgetown. Georgetown does still feel charming. It just operates more like a city than most people expect. Now, thankfully, the city is investing big, and the budget tax rate signals where priorities are going. The city's budget states an adopted budget totaling $1.3 billion, and that is a big deal. You see, the emphasis is on investing in safety and infrastructure. And what that means is that Georgetown is actively planning for next level demands, which is good for long-term stability, but it also reflects the reality of the growth. So you can tell that Georgetown knows it's not slowing down and they're budgeting for the future. Also, transportation planning is shifting toward major corridor capacity. Ronald Reagan is a big deal, and plans are to expand that ultimately to an 8-lane controlled access roadway. All that means that these growth lanes are being treated long-term, not like local roads. So if your daily life depends on a specific corridor, you need to understand how that corridor is evolving. See, the best pocket of Georgetown isn't always just the prettiest house. It's the corridor that keeps your daily lanes sane. Now, downtown is expanding beyond the square, more event space, gathering infrastructure. The city is opening Light and Waterworks District Plaza, actually already has. What that means simply is that downtown Georgetown is being built out to handle more events, more foot traffic, and that strengthens the appeal and the weekend energy in Georgetown, Texas. Although it also means a little more congestion. And what's great about this is that Georgetown is doubling down on what it's best at: community, events, and the we actually show up culture. Now with this growth, retail services are scaling up. More convenience every day, but a little more population too. H-E-B just finished a huge store out west on Ronald Reagan, which we've talked about. in Williams Drive, a fantastic location. More retail means more rooftops. That makes life more convenient, but it also signals that there's going to be more people in certain pockets. So the trade is simply more convenience, but you're going to share that convenience with more people. So now let's talk about cost pressures. It's not just about home price in Georgetown, but property taxes from the city, from the county, from the school district. You see, your monthly payment can be affected by all three. And ownership cost is influenced by county level decisions like what's the county tax rate. So the people who feel blindsided in this area are usually the ones who just looked at the price and not the full monthly reality. So here's my honest final verdict after over 3 decades, well over 3 decades in Georgetown. Georgetown, Texas is incredible. If your goal is peace and livability, not constant stimulation, if what you want is a calmer home base, Georgetown really does deliver. It's not trying to be Austin, and that's the point. You can access the city anytime you want, but you don't have to live in that pace every day. You see, Georgetown isn't trying to impress you. It makes life feel manageable. One of the biggest mistakes I see is buying the charm without matching the routine. It's easy to fall in love with the square and the restaurants and the festivals, and that part is all real. Georgetown's signature events and downtown culture, they're a legitimate part of the city's identity, like the Red Poppy Festival. But the win in the weekend experience, the win is whether your Monday through Friday routine feel easy to you. You can love Georgetown on the weekend, but still regret where you live on Wednesday. And growth is the backdrop of everything. So plan for a growing city, not a small town. A lot of growth in just 5 years. Yes, Georgetown still feels charming, it really does, but it's operating like a bigger place every year. If you're commuting, you have to be honest about your commute. You see, close to Austin is a map idea, but an easy commute is a lifestyle reality. So if your commute lane fits, Georgetown feels effortless. If it doesn't, it can be frustrating. And I strongly encourage you, don't underestimate the summer heat and how it changes your schedule. People who thrive here build a good summer routine. And by the way, the spring and the fall, even the winter, are fantastic. You don't have to love the heat in the summer, you just have to plan for it. And regarding costs, know your monthly cost. It can vary more than most people expect. Texas property taxes stack across multiple entities. So the same price house can have a very different monthly payment. I've mentioned that already, but I want to emphasize it. You can live in a lovely home right outside the city and have lower taxes, or a similar home inside the city of Georgetown and have slightly higher taxes. But just so you know, Georgetown taxes are some of the best for suburbs in Central Texas. And truly, people who feel blindsided by this aren't the ones who bought the wrong house. It's the ones who didn't really understand the monthly cost. So my straightforward advice is this: test drive daily life, not the highlight reel. Georgetown has real lifestyle infrastructure, downtown gathering spaces. They're expanding, and retail services that are scaling up for the growth. That's all great, but it also means your experience depends heavily on timing, lane choice, and the pocket that you're in. So don't just visit Georgetown, drive it. Do rush hour, do a weekend evening. See if Georgetown actually fits you. If you're thinking about buying or selling in Georgetown, Texas, and you want a clear strategy based on your price range, your commute lane, and the pocket you're looking at, then use the link in the description below. Schedule a quick call, no hassle, no obligation. I'm Stuart Sutton. As I've repeatedly said, I've been here over 3 decades, representing buyers and sellers right here in Georgetown, Texas. If you're not quite ready for a call, no worries. Download that buyer guide. You're going to find it very helpful. If you do want to visit, I'll tell you what's happening in specific neighborhoods, what buyers are paying attention to, where the leverage is, and what you're going to want to consider before you ever move to Georgetown, Texas. We're going to want to make sure you buy the Georgetown you expect and avoid making the mistake of being in the wrong place. And remember, it's your choice, so make it a powerful day.